Chosen one, listen very closely. You didn't just stumble upon this message by chance. There's something stirring beneath the surface of your ordinary, everyday life. A quiet pulse, almost imperceptible. A rhythm that you can't quite put your finger on, can't quite explain. It wakes you up in the dead of night. It whispers to you, cutting through the constant noise of the world. You can feel deep down that you were never meant to live an ordinary story. That feeling isn't just restlessness. That's your divine calling, gently but persistently tapping on the door of your heart. Every storm you've weathered, every period of silence, every season of confusion you've endured, none of it was wasted. Heaven was shaping you, molding you in the shadows behind the scenes. You were being carefully carved, like a diamond hidden within a rough, uncut stone. When others mistakenly took your isolation for failure, God called it incubation, a time of nurturing. You were not overlooked, not for a single moment. You were protected, shielded until the appointed hour. Picture yourself as an arrow, perfectly balanced and resting in the steady hand of a skilled archer. For a long time you felt the tension, the painful pullback, the waiting that stretches your faith to its absolute limits. But remember, the greater the tension, the farther the release. You are about to be launched with pinpoint precision into the purpose that was specifically designed for you since before time even began. There once was a young man who mistakenly thought God had forgotten all about him. He toiled quietly, far from the crowds, his dreams slowly fading away like old ink on parchment. But one night, he sensed a faint whisper, barely audible. "You are not hidden," it said. "You are being positioned." Months later, an unexpected door suddenly opened, seemingly out of nowhere. What appeared to be random chance was actually divine alignment, orchestrated from above. His story is also yours, too. What you might call a delay, heaven calls preparation, a crucial period of growth. You felt the difference deep inside your very being. When others instinctively run from pressure, something within you runs directly toward truth, drawn to it like a moth to a flame. That's because the distinguishing mark of a chosen one is not comfort. It's courage, unwavering bravery. You were designed to sense what others completely ignore, what goes unnoticed by the masses. To stand firm and resolute when the very ground beneath your feet trembles. You see patterns that others dismiss as mere coincidence. You hear the spiritual realm speaking long before it becomes visible to the naked eye. That heightened awareness is not a burden to bear. It's your anointing awakening within you. The word of the Lord declares in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." That powerful promise still breathes life over you. Right now, in this very moment. Heaven's blueprint for your life has never changed. Not even a little bit. It's simply unfolding in perfect timing, according to God's divine schedule. Every disappointment you've faced redirected you, guiding you closer and closer to your ultimate destiny. Every unanswered prayer was a valuable lesson in trust, teaching you to rely on God's wisdom. And now, as the spiritual clock ticks steadily toward a brand new era, you are being summoned to rise, to step into your purpose. You might be wondering, why now? Why this moment? Because your generation desperately needs voices of clarity amidst all the chaos and confusion. You are one of those voices. When others lose heart and give up hope, you will speak words of peace and reassurance. When fear grips entire nations, you will carry wisdom and discernment. That's precisely why your battles have been so much heavier, so much more intense. Because your calling carries significant weight, a great responsibility. Remember, the greater the mission, the greater the opposition you'll face. But also remember this: opposition is just confirmation in disguise, a sign that you're on the right path. Think of your journey like a sunrise breaking over a battlefield. The darkness doesn't disappear all at once. In the blink of an eye, it retreats slowly, inch by inch, as the light steadily pushes forward. That's you. Your unwavering faith pushing back the shadows of doubt and despair. Every act of obedience is a beam of pure light that declares to the darkness, you don't win here. You have no power here. Chosen one, this is your awakening. You don't need to strive anymore, to struggle and strain. You simply need to say yes. Heaven has already chosen you, handpicked you for this purpose. Now it patiently waits for your agreement, for you to accept the call. The first step is faith, unwavering belief. The next step is obedience, following God's instructions. And the step after that will reveal the path that was hidden all along, now illuminated for you. So pause right here, take a deep breath. Feel the gravity of this momentous occasion. Something significant is shifting inside you. Not because of fleeting emotions, but because your spirit instantly recognizes truth when it hears it. This is your confirmation, the validation you've been seeking. You were never ordinary, never meant to be, and your time has finally come. Before you leave this message, seal your awakening with action, with a tangible commitment. Like, share, and comment 111 if this resonates deep within your spirit. That single number is your declaration, a sign to the heavens that you hear heaven's call, loud and clear, and you're ready to walk in your divine purpose. The journey doesn't begin tomorrow, not at some later date, but right now with your resounding yes. You are stepping into alignment, where destiny and obedience finally meet, creating perfect harmony. This is more than just motivation. It's a spiritual activation, igniting something within you. You can almost feel the shift in the air, the change in the atmosphere. The way your heartbeat matches heaven's rhythm, perfectly synchronized. Every step forward from here is sacred ground, a holy undertaking. Do not doubt what you feel, that deep knowing within you. The same voice that called prophets of old now calls you, beckoning you forward. The same power that raised leaders in the wilderness is breathing through your very lungs, giving you life. You are not a mistake, not an accident. You are a movement waiting to unfold, to be unleashed upon the world. Keep walking, keep listening, keep burning with that inner fire. The awakening has begun, and the world will soon recognize the brilliant light that you already carry within you. You've often wondered why life kept leading you into solitude, forcing you into isolation. Why people you trusted deeply faded away without warning, disappearing from your life. Why certain doors slammed shut, no matter how hard you knocked, no matter how much you pleaded. But what if those weren't endings, final and absolute? What if they were beginnings in disguise, cleverly concealed? The isolation you've endured was never a punishment, never a sign of wrongdoing. It was heaven's way of creating a sacred space for your transformation, a time for deep inner work. There's a significant difference between loneliness and separation. Loneliness tells you that you've been abandoned, forsaken by all. Separation tells you that you've been chosen for refinement, set apart for a special purpose. You have been walking through a divine filter, a process of purification, where everything unnecessary falls away, shedding what doesn't belong. So only truth remains, pure and unadulterated. What you've lost recently, relationships, positions, comfort, was never meant to survive, never destined to last. In the next chapter of your life, God removes the noise, the distractions, so that you can finally hear His voice clearly, without any interference. Imagine a potter at his wheel, skillfully shaping clay. He presses his hands deep into the clay, reshaping it again and again, tirelessly. The clay doesn't understand why it's being stretched, pressed, or even broken at times. Yet the potter never removes his hands, never abandons his work. The pressure is the proof of presence, evidence of the potter's care. So it is with you. Every moment you felt crushed, overwhelmed, you were being molded into something holy and durable, unbreakable. You remember that season when your phone stopped ringing, when no one checked in on you, when you felt like the entire world had forgotten you. You cried out, "Where are you, God? Have you abandoned me?" But what you didn't realize was that the silence was sacred, a precious gift. Heaven had placed you in a spiritual greenhouse, a protected place of hidden growth, where light filters softly and roots grow deep before any leaf appears above ground. The word of wisdom reminds us that solitude is not a curse to be avoided. It's the classroom of the spirit, a place of profound learning. According to what is written in the book of Hosea, chapter 2, verse 14. Therefore, behold, I will allure her, and bring her into the wilderness, and speak tenderly to her. Wilderness seasons are where God teaches you his tone, his specific way of communicating with you. When the world grows quiet, the whisper of heaven becomes unmistakable, crystal clear. In the wilderness, every false identity begins to fall away, shedding what isn't authentic. You no longer perform for validation, seeking approval from others. You no longer chase applause, craving recognition. You learn to breathe in stillness, to find peace in quiet moments, to walk by faith, even without confirmation, trusting in God's plan. The solitude sharpens your discernment, your ability to see clearly. You start noticing things, energies, intentions, spiritual patterns that others completely overlook, missing the subtle signs. You realize that discernment is not suspicion, not jumping to conclusions. It's sight sharpened by surrender, by trusting in God's guidance. Think of Elijah hiding near the brook Cherith, seeking refuge. The prophet who once called down fire from heaven. Yet in that quiet valley, even he had to sit still and learn dependence, relying on God's provision. Ravens brought him bread and meat each morning, a miraculous provision. What a humbling miracle. Food delivered by the least expected means, by scavengers. You, too, have been fed by ravens, sustained in unexpected ways. Unlikely kindness, unexpected provision, strength that appears just when you think you have none left to give. Sometimes God hides his leaders before he releases them, preparing them for their purpose. He lets them be misunderstood so they can learn compassion, developing empathy. He lets them be forgotten so they never depend on fame, remaining humble. You've walked through rooms where your name was ignored, where you felt invisible, but heaven whispered it constantly, affirming your worth. Every tear shed in that private place watered your future influence, nurturing what was to come. You've also learned something sacred in isolation, a profound truth. Peace is not found in company, not in crowds, but in communion, in a deep connection with God. When the crowd disappeared, you discovered the quiet rhythm of divine companionship, the constant presence of God. You realized you were never truly alone, not for a single moment. You were simply being trained to stand with God when no one else stands with you, unwavering in your faith. There's a holy paradox here, a beautiful contradiction. The same isolation that broke you also built you, making you stronger. The same silence that hurt you also healed you, bringing restoration. You entered that season thinking you had lost everything, that all was gone. But you are walking out of it with a strength no storm can steal, a resilience that cannot be broken. And though you may not notice it yet, separation is beginning to birth visibility, paving the way for your emergence. The hidden one is becoming the called one, stepping into their purpose. The forgotten one is becoming the forerunner, leading the way. You are crossing the line from preparation to purpose, transitioning into your divine assignment. And when people see you again, they won't recognize you, not because you've changed on the outside, but because peace has become your armor, radiating from within you. So, do not curse the quiet places, the isolated moments. They were the sacred halls of your becoming, the place where you were transformed. Isolation was never meant to shrink you, to diminish you. It was meant to define you, to reveal your true self. Heaven has been sculpting a leader in silence, carefully crafting you, so that when your name is finally called, you won't perform trying to impress others. You'll simply be ready, fully equipped for your purpose. The quiet season was never wasted time, never unproductive. It was the forge where endurance was born, where your resilience was tested and strengthened. You learned to breathe in uncertainty, trusting that hidden roots still grow strong, even when unseen. Now the silence ends, its purpose fulfilled. The same stillness that once confined you has become your strength, empowering you. You emerge steady, refined, and unshakable, ready to walk in purpose, confident in your calling. You've felt it for a while now, that unsettling feeling. The invisible war raging beneath the surface of your days, unnoticed by many. You wake up heavy, burdened, even though nothing seems outwardly wrong. You go to sleep exhausted, even though you've barely moved all day. It's not just stress. It's spiritual warfare, a battle for your soul. Your spirit senses battles your mind cannot name, hidden conflicts. You, chosen one, have been fighting not with fists, but with faith, your strongest weapon. Not for mere survival, but for your inheritance, for what is rightfully yours. There are two worlds moving at once, simultaneously. The visible world, which we see and interact with, and the unseen world, the spiritual realm. The visible one distracts you with deadlines, noise, and endless scrolling, drawing your attention away. The unseen one tugs at your soul, calling you toward destiny, urging you forward. Every thought of giving up is not just emotion, not just a passing feeling. It's an attack on your purpose, a deliberate attempt to derail you. Darkness fears your awakening because once you rise, others will too, inspired by your example. You've noticed it, haven't you? Moments when your mood shifts suddenly, without warning. When peace evaporates for no apparent reason, vanishing into thin air. That's not coincidence. It's interference, spiritual opposition. The enemy can't steal your calling, he has no power over that. So, he tries to drain your focus, to distract you and wear you down. He throws confusion like smoke, obscuring your vision so you can't see the way forward, clouding your judgment. But even smoke can't stop light. It's powerless. It only reveals where the fire burns, highlighting its presence. You are that fire, a burning flame of hope and truth. It is written in the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. The battle is real, there's no denying it. But so is your armor, the protection you've been given. Every trial you've survived added another layer of strength, making you more resilient. Every prayer whispered through tears forged another weapon, equipping you for battle. You've been trained in the invisible realm before being released in the visible one, preparing you for what's to come. And now heaven is unveiling what those hidden years prepared you for, revealing your purpose. Think of David before Goliath, facing an impossible opponent. Everyone saw a mere boy with a sling, underestimated and dismissed. But heaven saw a warrior, forged by lions and bears in private, in the wilderness. The battlefield only revealed what the wilderness had already built, the strength and courage within him. You, too, have fought unseen giants. Depression, fear, doubt, battling internal struggles. And though no one applauded, your victories were not unnoticed. Heaven recorded every single one, acknowledging your perseverance. There was a night when you almost gave up, ready to surrender. The weight on your chest felt unbearable, crushing you. But somewhere deep within, a small voice whispered, "Not yet." That voice wasn't your imagination. It was divine intervention, a lifeline. You were one prayer away from collapse, on the brink of surrender. But mercy stood guard, protecting you. Now you understand. Spiritual warfare is not proof of weakness, not a sign of failure. It's proof of assignment, evidence that you've been chosen for a specific purpose. The enemy only attacks what threatens him, what poses a danger to his plans. Imagine your soul as a fortress on a hill, strong and resilient. Darkness tries to breach the walls to find a way in. But every time you choose faith over fear, another layer of light seals the cracks, strengthening the fortress. You've learned to fight not by shouting, not through aggression, but by standing still, grounded in faith. Stillness, when guided by trust, is one of heaven's fiercest weapons, a source of immense power. You may think your prayers are small, insignificant, your voice too quiet to matter, unheard. Yet in the unseen realm, each word of faith lands like thunder, shaking the foundations of darkness. Angels move when you speak life, responding to your commands. Chains tremble when you choose forgiveness instead of bitterness, breaking free from the past. Every act of obedience shifts the atmosphere more than you know, creating ripple effects. You are learning now that warfare isn't always loud, not always a dramatic display. Sometimes it's the quiet decision to keep your heart pure when everything around you tries to corrupt it, to maintain your integrity. Sometimes it's choosing peace instead of proving your point, refusing to engage in conflict. Sometimes it's simply refusing to let go of hope, clinging to faith even when it seems impossible. These small victories are the reason you still stand, the foundation upon which you persevere. And here's the secret heaven wants you to grasp, the key to unlocking your power. Your authority doesn't come from striving, not from your own effort. It comes from alignment, from being in sync with God. When your heart beats with heaven's rhythm, perfectly synchronized, darkness loses its grip, its power diminishes. The battle doesn't end overnight. It's a process. But the tide has already turned the moment you realized who you are, the power you possess. You became unstoppable, unbreakable. So breathe deeply, straighten your shoulders, stand tall. This war won't crush you. It's shaping you, molding you into your true form. Every storm is revealing your spiritual endurance, highlighting your resilience. You are learning how to carry light into the darkest corners without losing it, without being consumed by the darkness. You are not just surviving the battle, you are rewriting its outcome, changing the narrative. Before this moment ends, make your declaration visible, make your stand known. When you write those words, you're not performing for anyone. You're proclaiming your truth. You're announcing to heaven and to darkness alike that no matter the struggle, no matter the challenge, the light inside you cannot be silenced. It will continue to shine. When you write those two words, heaven hears more than just text. It hears surrender, a complete yielding to God's will. It's the language of faith spoken through your fingertips, a powerful expression, a silent agreement that light still wins, that good triumphs over evil. Even when vision blurs, when you can't see the path clearly, every time you declare light wins, you remind darkness it has an expiration date, its power is limited. You remind your weary soul that the battle is already decided, that victory is assured. The victory is not someday in the distant future. It's unfolding now, in this very moment. So, keep those words near, close to your heart. Whisper them in moments of fear, when doubt creeps in. Write them where your eyes will find them again, a constant reminder. Because every time you say it, light grows stronger inside you, radiating from within. You've begun to notice something new, haven't you? A quiet sensitivity awakening in your spirit, a heightened awareness. It's as if your inner ear has tuned itself to frequencies others can't perceive, a new level of perception. You walk into a room and feel the heaviness before anyone speaks, sensing the atmosphere. You sense when hearts are burdened, even behind practiced smiles, detecting hidden emotions. This is not imagination, not wishful thinking. It's the spiritual sensitivity that marks a true chosen one, a unique gift. Once you might have dismissed these sensations as overthinking, dismissing your intuition. But now you recognize them for what they are, signals from heaven, divine guidance. God has entrusted you with the ability to sense the invisible, not to overwhelm you, but to guide you, to lead you. Like a shepherd who hears the faintest cry from a lost sheep, you perceive what others overlook, noticing the subtle signs. Your heart has become an instrument tuned to divine frequencies, vibrating at the rhythm of compassion, feeling deeply. This sensitivity is both a gift and a weight, a blessing and a challenge. It can make crowds exhausting, overwhelming your senses, and injustice almost painful to witness, causing deep distress. Yet the same heart that aches deeply also carries heaven's empathy, sharing in the pain of others. When you feel too much, remember that your tears are evidence of divine connection, a sign of your humanity. Sensitivity in the spirit is not fragility, not a sign of weakness. It's authority wrapped in mercy, strength tempered with compassion. As recorded in the book of Proverbs, chapter 20, verse 27. The spirit of man is the lamp of the Lord, searching all his innermost parts. You are that lamp shining brightly. Your discernment is God's light moving through human form, illuminating the world. That's why you see what others cannot, perceiving what goes unnoticed. You were made to illuminate what's hidden, to bring truth into rooms dimmed by fear and deceit, bringing clarity. But sensitivity comes with a lesson, a crucial understanding. Not everything you sense is yours to carry, to take on as your own burden. Discernment must be partnered with wisdom, guided by careful judgment. Just because you perceive pain doesn't mean you are called to fix it, to solve every problem. Sometimes your role is to intercede quietly, praying for others, not intervene visibly, taking direct action. The difference between discernment and distraction lies in obedience, in following God's guidance. There was once a woman who could sense when storms were coming, not in the sky, but in the hearts of people, feeling their distress. She would feel sudden heaviness moments before bad news arrived, sensing impending trouble. At first, she called it anxiety, dismissing it as her own worry. Later, she realized it was intercession, a calling to pray. Heaven trusted her to pray before others even knew they needed it, acting as a spiritual watchman. Her story mirrors yours, reflecting your purpose. Sensitivity is not random. It is assignment, a divine calling. This gift often isolates you, setting you apart. It makes you seem distant because while others talk about surface things, trivial matters, you feel undercurrents, sensing deeper meanings. You read silence like a language, understanding what goes unsaid. You see patterns in behavior that others ignore, noticing subtle clues. You notice spiritual climates shifting before they manifest in the natural world. Detecting changes in the atmosphere can be overwhelming, yes, causing emotional fatigue, but also profoundly beautiful, a source of deep connection. You are a watchtower positioned to see storms before they reach the shore, warning others. In moments when the weight feels heavy, when the burden is great, remember this. Even Jesus withdrew to solitary places to pray, seeking refuge. Sensitivity without solitude becomes suffocation, unbearable. You need sacred spaces where you can empty what you've absorbed, releasing the tension. Prayer is not just communication, talking to God. It's cleansing, purifying your spirit. Every time you step into God's presence, you exchange burdens for clarity, trading weight for wisdom. There's a quiet glory in being spiritually awake, a profound blessing. You begin to move differently, not reacting impulsively, but responding thoughtfully. You start noticing divine timing, small synchronicities, moments that feel like whispers from another realm, guidance from above. The more you honor these nudges, these subtle promptings, the stronger they grow, becoming more pronounced. Heaven trains your intuition to become precision, sharpening your senses. Your sensitivity is also your protection, guarding you from harm. The unease you feel around certain places or people isn't paranoia, not unfounded fear. It's warning, a red flag. The peace that suddenly floods your heart about a decision isn't coincidence, not mere chance. It's confirmation, validation from heaven. You are learning to interpret spiritual language fluently, one impression at a time, growing in understanding. Still, this awareness requires balance, moderation. Without grounding, without stability, it can feel like drowning, overwhelming your senses. That's why God pairs every sensitive heart with a season of stillness, a time of rest. He teaches you to filter revelation through peace, not fear, to test everything. The more you rest in His presence, the clearer the signals become, more easily understood. What once felt confusing now becomes direction, guiding you forward. Think of yourself as a window through which heaven looks at the earth, offering a glimpse of the divine. The clearer the glass, the brighter the light, the more effectively you can transmit God's message. That's why you've been cleansed through tears, purified by sorrow, solitude and surrender, yielding to God's will. So, the view stays unobstructed, free from interference. You are not meant to be a sponge for the world's pain, absorbing all the negativity, but a mirror reflecting heaven's comfort back to it, offering solace and hope. So, when you feel deeply, don't rush to suppress it, to ignore your emotions. Sit with it, be present. Listen to what it's telling you. Ask what it reveals, what lessons it holds. Sometimes the ache is intercession, a call to pray for others. Sometimes it's empathy, sharing in the suffering of those around you. And sometimes it's simply a reminder that your heart is still alive in a world that has grown numb, a sign of your humanity. Your spiritual sensitivity is not a curse, not a disadvantage. It is your compass guiding you. It will lead you to divine encounters, connecting you with others, protect you from counterfeit alignments, shielding you from false connections, and guide you toward people heaven has prepared for your mission, those who will support you. The more you embrace it, the more accurate it becomes, the more reliable. You are not too emotional. You are finely tuned, highly perceptive. You are not too soft. You are spiritually aware, deeply connected to the divine. The lamp of the Lord burns brightly within you, illuminating your path. And that light, once awakened, will never dim again. It will continue to shine. There are moments when the air itself seems to change as you walk in, shifting the atmosphere. People can't explain it, but they feel it intuitively, sensing something different. The atmosphere shifts, becoming lighter. The tension softens, easing the burden. The unspoken heaviness begins to lift, dissipating the negativity. You've wondered why this happens, why you have this effect on people, why resistance seems to follow you wherever you go, opposition arising. It's because darkness recognizes you before people do, sensing your power. It sees the mark of light upon you, identifying you as a threat. From the beginning, your presence has disturbed the enemy's plans before you even knew your purpose, disrupting their strategies. Heaven had already announced it in the unseen realm, declaring your calling. That is why opposition rose early in your story, attempting to hinder you. Because light exposes what hides comfortably in shadows, revealing what wants to stay concealed. Every attack you faced was a reaction to your potential, not proof of your weakness, a sign that you are powerful. You are a walking disruption to every atmosphere that feeds on fear, challenging negativity. Even your silence speaks volumes, conveying a message of hope. When you enter a place heavy with anxiety, peace begins to whisper through unseen corridors, calming the atmosphere. When you speak truth, confusion trembles, unable to withstand the light. That is what it means to carry light, to be a beacon of hope. It challenges every shadow to retreat, forcing darkness to flee. There was once a man who couldn't understand why people either loved or avoided him, drawn to him or repelled. Wherever he went, emotions flared, some drawn closer, some agitated. He prayed for understanding, seeking clarity, and God showed him a vision of a torch in darkness, illuminating the path. Wherever the flame moved, insects scattered, fleeing from the light. Yet the lost found their way home, guided by the beacon. That's your story, too, a reflection of your purpose. The same light that comforts the hungry spirit unsettles the unhealed one, exposing their wounds. The scripture declares in the book of John, chapter 1, verse 5, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it, remaining undefeated." This truth lives inside you, a powerful force. You carry illumination that no shadow can extinguish, a flame that cannot be put out. That's why certain people misunderstand you, misinterpreting your intentions. Your light reveals what they've tried to hide, not just from the world, but from themselves, exposing their vulnerabilities. But take heart, don't be discouraged. Rejection is often recognition in disguise, a hidden compliment. Even Jesus, the purest light, was misunderstood by those still blinded by their own walls, unable to see clearly. Sometimes the warfare around you isn't personal, not directed at you specifically. It's positional, a struggle for territory. The enemy resists what threatens him, defending his domain. You are an agent of clarity in a world addicted to confusion, bringing truth. Your words pierce like arrows of revelation, penetrating the darkness. Your prayers break chains invisible to human eyes, setting people free. You don't need a title or a pulpit, not a position of authority. You simply need presence, being present in the moment. Because when light walks in, darkness loses its territory, unable to maintain its hold. Still, carrying light can feel lonely, isolating at times. You notice the spiritual tension before anyone else, sensing the atmosphere. You sense battles in rooms that seem calm, detecting hidden conflicts. Yet that awareness is not meant to isolate you, not to make you feel alone. It's meant to remind you that heaven trusts you, relying on your strength. You are part of a global network of light bearers, a collective of souls, all awakening at once, rising to their purpose, all walking into dark places not to condemn but to heal, offering hope and restoration. It's beautiful when you realize the darkness has no power of its own. It's ultimately powerless. It only survives where light refuses to shine, taking advantage of the absence. And you, chosen one, are learning not to fear the dark, not to be intimidated, but to illuminate it, to shine brightly. The greater the night, the clearer your flame becomes, the more powerful. Imagine your life as a seed of fire planted in the soil of humanity, nurturing the world. At first, it smolders quietly, unseen, hidden beneath the surface. But every act of love, every word of faith releases sparks that spread through hearts you may never meet, impacting lives. You are both the torch and the gardener, nurturing warmth in places that have forgotten how to feel, cultivating compassion. And here, within this sacred exchange between message and listener, you have a choice, a decision to make. You can let the light stop here, confined to this moment, or you can help it travel further, reaching more people. To like, to share, to subscribe isn't an obligation, not a requirement. It's an act of light propagation, spreading the message. Like tossing embers into the night sky so others can find the way home, guiding lost souls. When you choose to spread this flame, you participate in something eternal, something that lasts. You're not promoting a mere message. You're amplifying a movement, contributing to a greater cause. Every gesture becomes a ripple on the surface of time, a wave of light carrying hope to unseen shores, reaching distant lands. Somewhere, a weary soul will hear what you heard, connecting with the message, and warmth will reach them through your simple decision, touching their heart. The world doesn't need louder voices, more noise. It needs brighter ones, those who radiate light. And you, carrying this living spark, have the power to turn digital echoes into divine resonance, transforming communication. The choice remains yours, not out of duty or obligation, but out of devotion, a desire to serve. Let this moment linger like the last glow of sunset, peaceful and serene, quiet, honest, sacred, a precious time. Feel the warmth in your spirit that says, yes, this matters, affirming the importance. And if you sense that warmth, let your actions mirror it, reflecting your belief. Pass the flame, share the light. Let light multiply through your simple yes, empowering others. Because in the end, it's not algorithms that awaken hearts, not technology. It's light moving from one willing soul to another until the world is illuminated again, spreading hope and peace. You've started noticing the dreams lately, haven't you? Strange, vivid, almost alive, feeling real. You wake up with a lingering sense that they weren't. They're not just dreams. They're messages. They carry symbols that stick with you, symbols you just can't shake. Doors, rushing rivers, light piercing through the clouds, familiar faces speaking words you can't quite grasp. Don't brush them aside. When God calls someone special, a chosen one, he often starts with whispers in the night. Dreams, visions, sudden feelings and impressions. These are heaven's way of getting in touch with those who are sensitive enough to really listen. You've been feeling that pull in your spirit as you're lying down at night. That gentle stirring, that sense of anticipation before you drift off to sleep. That's not just your mind wandering aimlessly. It's a divine download, a spiritual download. Heaven speaks to you in the language of symbols and imagery because your spirit understands pictures and images better than it understands long paragraphs. There's a reason for this newfound clarity, this newfound sharpness of mind, especially as your calling begins to mature and solidify. Revelation starts flowing in a different way, a new way. You'll begin to sense things before they even happen. You'll feel shifts and changes before others even notice them. You'll hear instructions that might seem strange or unusual at first, until they unfold perfectly before your eyes. You're not imagining things. You're tuning into a frequency, a channel that's always been there. The constant noise and distractions of the world once drowned it out. But now your ears have been anointed for hearing, you've been chosen to hear. According to what's written in the book of Job, chapter 33, verse 15. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls on people as they slumber in their beds, he opens their ears and gives them instruction. This is happening to you right now. Heaven is opening your spiritual ears, giving you strategies, directions, and warnings in the quiet hours, in those moments of stillness. You're not crazy for noticing patterns in what others dismiss as mere coincidence or chance. You are simply perceiving things from a higher vantage point, a different perspective. Prophetic perception isn't arrogance or pride. The stewardship, it's sacred stewardship. You are being entrusted with insights that others aren't quite ready to comprehend. There's a story about a man who had a vivid dream. He was planting seeds in a field completely shrouded in fog. He couldn't see the harvest, he couldn't see the fruits of his labor. Only the act of planting. Each time he placed a seed in the ground, a faint light would flicker beneath the soil, a tiny spark. Months later, he learned that every decision of obedience he had made during that foggy season, that unclear season, was preparing a breakthrough that he couldn't yet see. His dreams were blueprints, not just silly fantasies. So it is with you. The things you've been shown in secret, the things you've witnessed in your dreams, will begin to unfold in sequence, in the proper order. You may not understand everything just yet, but interpretation grows and deepens with intimacy and closeness. Don't rush to explain what heaven reveals to you. Just record it. Write it down even when it doesn't make sense in the moment. Vision matures over time, and revelation always comes with a corresponding responsibility. There will be moments when your dreams seem heavy, warning dreams, the kind that leave your heart pounding in your chest. Don't let fear speak louder than faith. God reveals to heal, not to instill terror. When the Spirit allows you to see spiritual danger, it's an invitation to intercede, to pray. You are part of the defense line in the unseen realm. Prophetic insight also appears in daily life. You'll find profound meaning in small, sacred coincidences. A song lyric that perfectly answers a prayer you've been uttering. A stranger's words that echo your private thoughts. Numbers that repeat until you finally look up their significance. These are divine breadcrumbs, guiding your steps along the way. Don't treat them lightly. Treat them as conversation starters with heaven. But be wise and discerning. Not every dream is divine in origin. Some stem from anxiety, others from sheer exhaustion. Discernment is absolutely key. That's why God pairs revelation with relationship, with a close relationship with Him, so you can tell which voice is His and which is just background noise. You're learning to separate true inspiration from mere illusion. And with each test, your clarity sharpens and improves. Think of your mind as a night garden where heaven plants seeds of vision while the world slumbers and sleeps. You wake to find those seeds sprouting as fresh ideas, innovative solutions, or urgent warnings. Some bloom quickly, others take entire seasons to fully develop, but none are ever wasted. Every dream carries valuable instruction for a destiny moment waiting just ahead. This new season is sacred. It's no accident or coincidence that your rest has become restless. Heaven often intentionally disturbs our sleep to awaken us to our true purpose. You are being prepared for assignments that require both profound sensitivity and unwavering courage. When the visions grow strong, don't run, don't hide. Record, reflect, and pray. Some of what you see will guide entire nations. Some will heal the wounds of single souls. But all of it is divine stewardship. It's all sacred responsibility. And when the message resonates deep within you, acknowledge it quietly, reverently, with deep respect. Comment 222 as a symbol of alignment between heaven, earth, and your spirit. It's not a number for seeking attention. It's a sign that you recognize and acknowledge heaven's communication. When you write it, it becomes a declaration. I am listening. Because from this night forward, your dreams are not just dreams. They are dialogues, they're spiritual dialogues. And your active listening is heaven's confirmation that revelation has found the right heart to rest in. You felt the growing pressure inside you lately, a deep weight that doesn't come from mere exhaustion, but from heightened awareness. It's as if you're carrying something far larger than yourself. The world feels heavier, and somehow your heart feels responsible for it. That chosen feeling is the mark of divine responsibility settling upon your shoulders. You've stepped into the phase where compassion becomes commission, where your empathy becomes your purpose. You don't cry randomly anymore. Those sudden tears are intercession. They're prayers. You don't feel burdened for strangers by accident. That stirring, that ache, when you witness pain or injustice is heaven's signal. You are part of the solution. This is what happens when a soul begins to align with its divine purpose. Your empathy becomes action, and your sensitivity becomes your calling. This weight doesn't crush you because it was measured specifically for you before you were even born. Heaven calibrated your heart for the magnitude of this mission. Every challenge, every heartbreak, every betrayal stretched your capacity to carry more light, to carry more of God's light. You were never being punished. You were being expanded and stretched, molded and shaped. The sacred word declares in the book of Galatians, chapter 6, verse 2, "Carry each other's burdens, and in this way, you will fulfill the law of Christ." Carrying the burdens of others doesn't always mean solving their problems for them. Sometimes it means standing in quiet prayer when they can't find the right words to express themselves. Sometimes it means listening without judgment, offering presence instead of unsolicited advice. True leadership in the kingdom doesn't begin with raw power. It begins with genuine compassion. There was a woman who once earnestly asked God to use her. Not long after, she started feeling every emotion around her more intensely. Sorrow and grief hit her like crashing waves. People's struggles clung to her spirit. She thought she was falling apart, that she was losing herself. But heaven was actually expanding her empathy, stretching her heart. God had answered her prayer in a profound way. He was making her a vessel large enough to hold others' pain and still pour hope back into them. That is your story, too. The weight of responsibility is not a punishment. It's a privilege. It means heaven trusts you with something that others would crumble under. It means your heart has matured enough to bear heaven's very pulse, to feel what God feels when he looks at the world. That ache inside you is not burnout. It's divine compassion in motion. It's holy compassion. Still, you must learn balance. Every intercessor must also learn to rest and recharge. Compassion without boundaries turns into sheer exhaustion. You can't pour from an empty vessel, you can't give from an empty soul. And heaven never asked you to save the entire world single-handedly. You're part of a much greater symphony, a beautiful symphony. One instrument among many others. Your part matters, it's essential, but so does your pause, so does your rest. Rest is not disobedience. It's replenishment, it's necessary replenishment. Think of yourself as a bridge between heaven and earth. Bridges are inherently strong, but they must also be maintained and cared for. If they carry too much weight without proper care and maintenance, even the strongest steel begins to bend and eventually break. So take time in solitude. Let prayer become your oxygen once again. Let silence mend the cracks that empathy alone cannot fix. You'll notice something beautiful when you carry responsibility the right way. Instead of feeling drained and depleted, you begin to feel surprisingly fulfilled. The same compassion that once overwhelmed you starts to energize you. Your heart beats in rhythm with heaven's, and you realize that this burden was never meant to break you. It was meant to profoundly connect you to your purpose. The world is desperate for this kind of leadership. Not loud, not arrogant, but steady, humble, and kind. People follow authenticity more than authority. When they see someone who carries peace through absolute chaos, they instinctively move closer to that person. That's how heaven leads, through a love that cannot be imitated or faked. This is why you felt tension between comfort and calling. The easy road tempts you, but your spirit refuses it. You know too much now. Once you've seen the divine pattern, you can't unsee it. You're called to step into the hard places, the messy spaces where healing must begin. That's not a burden. It's a sacred trust, It's a divine trust. Remember this: the weight of heaven does not fall on weak shoulders. It rests on those who have learned to kneel in humble prayer. Your humility is what holds your strength together. It's what binds it. Every time you surrender, the pressure redistributes, and grace takes the heavier side. That's how you keep going, by not carrying it all alone. One day you'll look back and realize that this weight, this holy pressure, shaped your spine into solid steel and your heart into pure gold. It taught you to lead without demanding, to love without conditions, to give without losing yourself in the process. You were chosen to carry this because you can, because your heart was refined for it, because heaven knew you'd bear the weight and still keep your sense of wonder. The burden hasn't come to break you. It has come to build the leader the world has been waiting for. Every chosen one must walk through fire, through trials and tribulations. There is simply no other way to reveal what is truly indestructible inside you. The fire comes in many forms: disappointment, betrayal, loss, rejection. But its purpose is always the same: purification. The flames that once frightened you are now the very tool heaven uses to prove what you're truly made of. You didn't ask for the suffering. You didn't expect the loneliness. Yet each trial carved wisdom into your soul that comfort could never teach. Fire doesn't destroy pure gold. It defines it, it reveals its purity. You are discovering that what the enemy intended for ruin has become the refinery of resilience. It begins quietly. The first spark might be a loss that shakes your carefully laid plans. The second, a relationship that ends without clear explanation. Then comes the silence. The kind of silence that feels like heaven itself has gone completely still. That silence is sacred, though. The forge always begins in quiet. You are not being ignored. You are being refined, you're being purified. As declared in the book of Zechariah, chapter 13, verse 9. I will bring that group through the fire and make them pure. I will refine them like silver and test them like gold. They will call on my name and I will answer them. That verse is not just ancient history. It's happening within you. It's your present reality. Every test has been heaven's classroom, a learning experience. Every loss a valuable lesson in endurance. Pain doesn't signify abandonment. It signifies transformation. When gold enters the fire, it doesn't plead for escape or deliverance. It patiently waits for the impurities to rise to the surface. You, too, have been learning the delicate art of waiting in the intense heat without losing your precious faith. There was a man who once cried out in frustration, "Why does everything I touch burn?" One night, in a vivid vision, he saw himself as iron inside a fiery furnace. Sparks danced all around him, and he desperately wanted to run and escape. But a voice spoke clearly, "Stay. You are not being burned. You are being shaped and molded." When he awoke, he finally understood that the fire wasn't punishment. It was formation, it was shaping him into something stronger. You've lived that profound truth. The things that tried to destroy you ultimately ended up developing you, making you stronger. You've walked through emotional infernos and spiritual droughts. You felt the sharp heat of sudden loss and the slow, agonizing burn of prolonged waiting. Yet somehow you're still standing, softer in heart but stronger in spine. Fire has a unique way of melting away what is false and hardening what is genuinely real. It is in the furnace of affliction that you truly discover who you are. When the applause fades, when your plans fail, when everything familiar turns to ash, that's when character takes shape and form. You learn to lean on unshakable faith, not fleeting feelings. You stop chasing after elusive answers and start building inner endurance. You stop desperately needing control and start trusting the divine process. That's how true leaders are forged in the firelight, not in the spotlight. There is a strange, undeniable beauty to the process of refinement. At first, the flames sting and hurt intensely, but after a while, you begin to see the gentle glow amidst the pain. You realize that the fire isn't just surrounding you. It's also burning brightly within you. It's the same holy fire that once burned in the bush that Moses saw. The same flame that descended upon the prophets of old. The same divine spark that brought radiant light into the vast void. You are part of that eternal, sacred pattern. Heaven always sets apart by setting a flame, by kindling a fire within. You may not fully see it yet, but the glow on you is clearly visible in the spiritual realm. You radiate something different now, an authentic authority that suffering alone can produce. People will sense it when you speak. Your words will carry genuine weight because they were tested in the heat, in the crucible of life. You've been through enough to know the true cost of real, unwavering faith. And that kind of authenticity simply cannot be faked or manufactured. The fire also burns away attachments that can't follow you into your destined future. Every time you lose something that once defined you, another layer of the old self peels away. It hurts deeply, but it's holy. God is making absolutely sure that when you stand before new doors of opportunity, you no longer carry what rightfully belongs to the past. Refinement is not mere subtraction. It's essential preparation. And though it's undeniably painful, something deep inside you has begun to thank the fire for its purifying work. Because without it, you would never have truly known your own incredible strength. Without it, you would still define yourself by others' fleeting opinions. Without it, you would not have learned the sacred calm that comes from trusting that no flame can ever consume what heaven has divinely sealed. When you look back on this challenging season one day, you won't just see ashes. You'll see magnificent architecture. The very structure of who you are was painstakingly built in the firelight. You will understand that the forge was not your enemy. It was your making, it was your divine making. So don't fear the intense heat anymore. It's undeniable proof that heaven hasn't forgotten about you. Flames surround the favored ones. You are not burning out. You are burning bright. There comes a distinct time when the heat of refinement gives way to a strange, calming peace. The calm that precedes a great and significant shift. You begin to sense something in your spirit, a new authority pressing gently against your chest, like the weight of a mantle being carefully lowered from heaven. You're not the same person who initially entered the fire. The trembling has stopped. The fear has melted away. And in its place, there's a quiet certainty that you have been profoundly changed, fundamentally transformed. The season of preparation has finally ended. What was hidden deep within you is now beginning to surface. You may not feel noticeably different on the outside, but the spiritual realm already fully recognizes the significant change that has taken place. The authority you now carry doesn't come from impressive titles or prestigious positions. It comes from scars that have healed correctly. Every wound you surrendered to God became a seal of power. Every test you quietly passed became a promotion unseen by mortal eyes but recorded in the annals of heaven. You've been entrusted with something sacred, an anointing not just to survive but to lead others. When heaven intentionally places a mantle on a life, it is never an accident or a coincidence. Mantles are not mere decorations. They are heavy responsibilities woven from threads of unwavering obedience. And now yours rests gently upon you, shimmering like invisible armor, as it is written in the book of Matthew, chapter 8, verse 26. The spirit of Elijah rests on Elisha. That same transference happens in your life right now, not through a physical prophet's cloak, but through spiritual inheritance. The mantle you receive today carries the indomitable strength of every battle you've endured and the fervent prayers of those who faithfully came before you. This very moment is sacred. You may subtly feel the shift in small, significant ways. Your discernment sharper, your words heavier with meaning, your inner peace deeper than ever before. People might even start to treat you differently, drawn to the quiet calm in your presence without even knowing precisely why. That's the unmistakable mark of true spiritual authority. You no longer need to announce it or declare it. Heaven's anointing oil speaks much louder than any mere introduction could. There was once a young man who seriously doubted his calling. He feared he wasn't adequately prepared to lead. One night in prayer, he saw a vivid vision of an ancient cloak made entirely of light descending slowly toward him. As it gently touched his shoulders, every single voice of fear immediately fell silent. He woke with tears streaming down his face and a powerful verse echoing in his mind. "My grace is sufficient for you." From that day forward, he didn't need constant confirmation. He walked in quiet conviction, with unwavering faith. That's what this season feels like. No earth-shattering thunder, no blinding lightning, just a steady, unwavering knowing that you are chosen for greater works, for a higher calling. You'll notice doors effortlessly opening, not because you chase them down, but because your spirit now carries divine permission, the explicit authorization of heaven. You no longer have to strive tirelessly for platforms. Platforms will actually find you. With every divinely appointed mantle comes necessary movement. Heaven doesn't crown you for your personal comfort. It equips you for lasting impact. The people specifically assigned to your voice will begin to appear in your life. Some will be deeply broken, searching for the very healing you've already personally walked through. Others will challenge you, testing the depth of your humility. But through it all, you will lead not through harsh control, but through authentic compassion. You'll discover that true authority doesn't need to raise its voice. It raises the standard for everyone. It doesn't seek to dominate. It simply demonstrates the better way. And as you continue to faithfully walk forward, your mere presence alone will begin to perceptibly shift the very atmosphere around you. Peace will enter wherever you stand. Clarity will return wherever you speak words of wisdom. Heaven's mantle transforms your very existence into a living, breathing message. Yet even with this significant elevation, remember to always remain humble. Every crown heaven bestows must be worn with bowed knees, in deep reverence. The mantle is not a trophy to be displayed. It's a humble towel meant for serving others. God doesn't increase you for mere applause. He increases you to reach farther than you ever thought possible. Every new level of authority will require even deeper surrender. When you feel the considerable weight of this mantle, don't shrink back in fear. Don't question why it's you who has been chosen. Remember the long journey, the painful isolation, the refining fire, the countless tears. You've already been thoroughly tested. This is not a surprise promotion. It's a divinely fulfilled promise. You are truly ready. Still, allow this profound truth to gently settle into your soul. Authority is not noise. It's quiet presence. When you confidently walk into this next season, you won't need to loudly declare who you are. Heaven already has done so. Before you move forward, seal this inner awareness. Let heaven clearly see your wholehearted agreement, not through prideful boasting, but through deep reverence and humility. Comment mantle on as a silent, heartfelt declaration that you fully receive what has been graciously placed upon you. It's not just a casual phrase. It's a solemn covenant, a sacred acknowledgement that you willingly accept both the honor and the profound responsibility of divine leadership. Carry it with unwavering humility. Walk with unshakable confidence. The mantle now rests upon you, and the mission is about to begin. When you write those two simple words, you're not just typing letters on a screen. You're stepping boldly into a sacred lineage. Mantle on means, I wholeheartedly accept the call. I will faithfully carry the flame forward. It's your soul's official signature on heaven's scroll, declaring your complete readiness to lead with courageous faith, authentic compassion, and unwavering trust. The storms are here again. The winds rise dramatically. The very ground trembles beneath your feet, and fear moves swiftly through the frightened crowd like a chilling whisper. Yet in the very middle of all the chaos, you feel something profoundly different. Calm, unwavering purpose, intense focus. This is the clear sign that you have officially crossed over from mere survival into a position of influential leadership. You don't panic when others around you inevitably do, because you've already bravely faced the fire and the deafening silence. You've learned the valuable lesson that storms do not come to destroy the divinely chosen ones. They come to reveal who they truly are. You stand now precisely where the noise is the loudest. People desperately look around for someone to blame, someone trustworthy to follow, someone who can still see clearly when the horizon completely disappears from view. That someone is now you. Heaven has been carefully training your spirit for this exact moment in time. The very storms you once deeply feared have now become the very winds that powerfully lift your wings. As it is beautifully written in the book of Matthew, chapter 8, verse 26. Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the waves, and it was completely calm. That same authority now dwells powerfully within you. You are not a mere spectator to the surrounding chaos. You are a steadfast stabilizer within it. Leadership in these crucial end times is not about loudly shouting orders and demanding compliance. It's about carrying genuine peace into places where sheer panic reigns supreme. You don't have the ability to magically control the raging storm. You command your own inner atmosphere within it. There was once a seasoned sailor who miraculously survived many fierce tempests at sea. People often asked him how he managed to maintain his courage when the towering waves loomed menacingly above the ship. He smiled serenely and said, "I stopped fearing the storms the moment I realized I was specifically built for them." That's you right now. Heaven has intricately designed your spirit with reinforced faith, a tested, tempered, unbreakable faith. When everything around you violently shakes, you remember what cannot be moved. You've discovered that true leadership isn't about rock-solid certainty. It's about inner stillness. It's about peace. Others read the turbulent conditions. You read unwavering conviction. You lead not because you crave power, but because you absolutely refuse to let paralyzing fear speak louder than the guiding truth. In this significant new chapter, your very voice becomes a reliable lighthouse. It doesn't scream frantically over the raging waves. It stands unmovingly fixed, sending out unwavering signals of steadfast hope. Sometimes people won't even need your specific words. They'll simply watch how you steadily stand and feel the storm raging inside them begin to slowly settle and subside. That's precisely the kind of leader heaven raises up in these turbulent times. Calm in the midst of chaos, humble in command, anchored firmly in lasting peace. The world already has plenty of captains loudly shouting into the wind. It desperately needs those who can quietly listen for God's gentle whisper beneath the deafening thunder. Yet leadership will undoubtedly test you. There will certainly be moments when people will begin to doubt you, when your own heart starts to wonder if you're genuinely enough. But remember, storms do not prove your inherent weakness. They only reveal the strength of your solid foundation. Every gust of forceful opposition only confirms that you've wisely built your life on solid rock, the rock of Christ. The inner peace you carry will begin to gradually spread outward. You'll notice how just one single word of genuine encouragement transforms heated arguments into moments of respectful quiet. How your steady heart steadies so many others. You won't always see the positive change instantly, but like widening ripples in a calm body of water, your unwavering calm travels much farther than you could ever possibly imagine. When you lead effectively through intense storms, you become an integral part of heaven's ongoing rescue mission. Some will instinctively cling to your radiant light without even knowing precisely why. They'll simply feel profoundly safe around you. Not because you're perfect in any way, but because your peaceful spirit reminds them of home, of the heavenly realm. That is the hidden, intrinsic beauty of true leadership. It's not about simply directing people where to go. It's about faithfully restoring inner peace. And now, as the winds roar fiercely once again, you begin to realize that your calm is surprisingly contagious. You start to see how your personal story, your incredible endurance, your deep empathy, and your unwavering faith all become a safe shelter for countless others. You don't have to convincingly persuade anyone to trust you implicitly. The unmistakable proof is evident in the profound presence you carry. Still, even in your undeniable strength, remember to always remain humble. The radiant light within you shines the brightest when humbly reflected through genuine gratitude. Remember that inner peace doesn't truly belong to you. It simply flows powerfully through you. Each storm you bravely survive is a clear invitation to pour that same liberating peace back into the troubled world. And here, in this sacred stillness between the roaring thunder and the promising dawn, there lies a very important choice. The inspiring story can quietly end right here, right now, or it can beautifully expand outward to bless so many others. You can choose to keep this transformative moment completely to yourself, or you can courageously release it for the betterment of all. Let the calming peace ripple outward. To like, to share, and to subscribe is not a mere obligation. It's a beautiful reflection of your heartfelt gratitude. It's much like releasing peaceful doves into the vast sky after a devastating flood, powerful symbols of enduring peace carrying hope to distant lands. When you generously do so, you're not simply promoting a fleeting message. You're extending a calming influence into the midst of existing chaos somewhere in the world. A soul struggling on the very edge will breathe a little easier because your subtle ripple reached them. You don't have to do it to be visibly seen or publicly praised. Do it generously to let the radiant light of hope travel much farther than you could ever possibly go alone. One quiet, selfless act of sincerely sharing peace can effortlessly travel across countless screens, across seemingly impenetrable borders, and across precious hearts, becoming a living echo of your authentic leadership. The relentless storms will undoubtedly keep coming, but so will the brilliant light that shines so brightly within you. Keep steadfastly standing firm. Keep shining brightly. Let the torrential waves roar and rage if they must. You already undeniably know who calms them with just a whisper. The tumultuous storms have now passed for the moment, leaving the air heavy and intensely quiet. The vast sky feels noticeably cleaner after the intense chaos, much like a weary heart does after finally releasing everything it had been desperately holding inside. You stand completely still for a moment, gratefully breathing in the profound silence. It feels undeniably sacred, like heaven itself pausing to quietly reflect on everything that has transpired. Let me give you a moment to catch your breath. You've navigated through it all, but just surviving was never the endgame. This moment of peace isn't the end of the fight. It's the space where your identity deepens and becomes even more profound. Every leader, without exception, will eventually encounter this period of stillness, this strange in-between time where the action grinds to a halt, but the transformation continues. You're no longer in the thick of the battle, but you're definitely not the same person you were before it all began. You feel lighter, almost as if a weight has been lifted, but you're also more acutely aware of everything around you. It's as if the storm swept away illusions you didn't even know you were carrying, illusions that were clouding your judgment and perception. You've begun to see things from a completely different perspective, not just what's wrong with the world and society, but, more importantly, what is right and what is worth fighting for and rebuilding. This is the fertile ground where true maturity takes root and blossoms, not in the chaos of noise and frenetic movement, but in the quiet solitude of thoughtful reflection. The fire you endured refined you, burning away the impurities. The storm tested your resolve and resilience. And now, the silence will ground you, anchoring you to your core values and purpose. True strength is inherently quiet. It doesn't need to announce its arrival or constantly seek validation. Those who have journeyed through hell and emerged on the other side with grace and humility speak softly because they understand that true power no longer needs to shout or be loud to be heard. The scripture reveals, in the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 15, that in quietness and confidence shall be your strength. You are coming to the realization that stillness is not a sign of weakness. It is a testament to your wisdom and understanding. You no longer feel the need to rush in and fix everything immediately. Instead, you take the time to listen more attentively, to observe with greater clarity, to sense the subtle movements of divine timing, and to patiently wait until heaven's rhythm gives you the signal to move forward. This is precisely what separates those who lead for personal attention and recognition from those who lead by divine anointing and calling. There was a shepherd, long ago, who spent his entire youth chasing wild sheep across the barren and unforgiving hills. One day, completely exhausted and weary, he stopped the endless pursuit and simply sat down, defeated. To his utter surprise, the sheep began to gather around him on their own, drawn to his stillness. He realized, in that moment, that peace is magnetic and attracts others. The very same principle applies to you. The calm you now possess and radiate will attract others to you far more effectively than any loud and attention-grabbing performance ever could. In this season of stillness, you will discover a new level of clarity. Innovative ideas will surface, specific faces will come to mind, and divine instructions will arrive without the need for fanfare or grand announcements. It's as if heaven is whispering directly to you now because you've finally cultivated the ability to truly listen and hear. Here's what comes next. You'll begin to understand and interpret your past in a completely different light. What once felt like random and meaningless pain now appears as intentional preparation for what's to come. Every delay you experienced cultivated patience within you. Every loss you suffered refined your sense of purpose and direction. Every heartbreak you endured taught you invaluable compassion. The pieces of the puzzle are finally starting to fall into place and make sense. And though the intense pressure has eased, there's a new kind of weight that you now carry, a peaceful responsibility to steward your gifts and influence wisely. You sense that your words carry more weight now, that your actions have a ripple effect that extends further than ever before. You've been entrusted with influence, and with that comes the sacred duty of maintaining unwavering integrity. Influence without purity becomes corrupt and destructive. Purity without courage fades into obscurity and has no impact. But when both meet in one heart, true transformation becomes possible. You are that heart. The world around you will begin to notice it, even before you speak a single word. Your presence will carry a quiet authority. Rooms will shift and adjust when you enter, not because of charismatic charm or dazzling personality, but because peace has become your signature fragrance. You will learn that presence itself can preach a more powerful sermon than any carefully crafted speech ever could. But with this newfound peace comes a unique temptation, the temptation to settle and become complacent. After enduring storms and intense struggles, comfort feels incredibly safe, almost divinely ordained. Yet, comfort is not your final destination. Simply a refueling station along the way. Rest and recharge, but don't retire from your calling. The world still desperately needs your voice, your unique vision, and your unwavering faith that remains calm and unshakable in the face of adversity. Think of a serene lake after a heavy rainfall. The surface gradually smooths out, perfectly mirroring the sky once again. But beneath the surface, the water still moves, carrying vital nutrients and sustaining life unseen. That's you. Serene and composed on the surface, but full of purpose and intentionality in the depths. Heaven doesn't need your noise and theatrics. It needs your unwavering steadiness and reliability. Let this season teach you how to rest without retreating from your purpose. Rest is sacred and restorative when it replenishes you, not when it numbs you into inaction. Learn to pause and reflect between missions, not to completely escape them. The greatest leaders understand how to draw strength from silence without allowing it to consume them. So, stay here in this moment for a little while longer. Allow gratitude to rise within you quietly. Breathe in the peace that only those who have survived great battles can truly understand. The kind of peace that doesn't erase the scars, but sanctifies them, transforming them into symbols of resilience and growth. You've earned the stillness, not as a reward for your accomplishments, but as a constant reminder of where your true strength comes from. A reminder that strength is not proven by endless striving and relentless activity, but by the ability to remain gentle and compassionate, even after enduring war. When the next call to action comes, and it inevitably will, you'll move again, not out of exhaustion, obligation, or duty, but out of perfect alignment with your purpose and calling. Because now you understand that true power flows most effectively through peace. The silence you now carry is sacred armor, both soft and unbreakable. It guards your peace while simultaneously keeping your heart open to divine whispers and guidance. When you move again, move slowly, wisely, and intentionally. Let every step you take echo with heaven's calm, proving that stillness can indeed lead nations forward. You can feel it, can't you? The world is shifting once again. The stillness that once completely surrounded you begins to hum with a new and vibrant energy, like the air just before dawn breaks. You sense that something divinely orchestrated is gathering and taking shape, that you are no longer walking alone across the earth. Hearts like yours are awakening one by one. The scattered sparks are finding each other, forming constellations of light in the darkness. This is the beginning of the remnant, the gathering of God's chosen ones. For a long time you believed you were isolated, that your struggles were entirely unique to you. But you were never truly alone. You were simply early in your journey. Heaven always awakens its warriors individually until the precise moment when the sound of alignment calls them together. That moment is now. The remnant is not about amassing large numbers or achieving widespread fame and recognition. It's about purity of heart and unwavering purpose. They are the ones who steadfastly refuse to bow down to fear, who walk in truth and integrity, even when it costs them comfort and convenience. You are one of them. You've been prepared through the wilderness, trained through tears, and refined through fire. And now, your spirit resonates deeply with others who carry the same divine frequency. As it is written in the book of Romans, chapter 11, verse 5. So too, at the present time, there is a remnant chosen by grace. This gathering is not visible to everyone. It doesn't begin in crowded arenas or large conferences. It begins in whispers, in prayers, in divine encounters between ordinary people carrying extraordinary light. The remnant recognizes each other, not by eloquent words or impressive credentials, but by their presence. When two lights meet, their glow doesn't compete or diminish. It multiplies exponentially, creating an even brighter and more powerful illumination. There was once a traveler walking through a dark valley, carrying only a small lantern to light his way. Along the path, he encountered others, some with candles, some with torches, some with flames that were barely flickering. One by one, they joined their lights together until the valley itself began to shine with a radiant glow. That image is a reflection of you and the others who are awakening. Heaven is gathering the remnant right now. You are not simply scattered stars, each shining independently. You are forming a constellation, destined to guide others home. This unity is spiritual before it ever becomes physical or tangible. You may never physically meet all of those aligned with you in purpose, yet you'll feel their prayers surrounding you like a protective wind at your back. Their victories will strengthen you, and your endurance will fortify them. The kingdom connection defies the limitations of distance and physical separation. It's built on deep resonance, not mere recognition. But always remember this. Unity does not mean uniformity. The remnant is not a choir of identical voices, all singing the same note. It's a symphony of diverse voices, each uniquely beautiful, all tuned to the same spirit. Each member carries a different sound, a unique gift. Some bring wisdom, others bring healing, still others bring courage. When joined together, they create a harmony that shakes spiritual foundations. You are a vital part of that harmony. And though this sounds glorious and inspiring, it will also require keen discernment. Not every light is pure and true. Not every voice is sent from heaven. You must learn to recognize divine alignment from mere emotional attachment. The true remnant doesn't flatter and enable. They sharpen and challenge you to grow. They don't compete for attention. They complete each other. The presence of the authentic will bring a deep and abiding peace, not anxiety or pressure. You will begin to see divine connections forming naturally and organically. Friendships that feel ancient, conversations that ignite purpose, encounters that confirm your direction. Don't rush these connections. Allow heaven to orchestrate them in its perfect timing. Every relationship birthed in divine timing carries an endurance and strength that human effort alone simply cannot sustain. This is a holy network being woven across generations and nations. Heaven is connecting people who might never share a common language, but who share a common burden and purpose. You will find immense strength in knowing that while you stand where you are, others are standing with you, fighting the same battles. Think of it like individual rivers merging into one powerful current. Each flow moves quietly yet powerfully together. They carve valleys and shape entire landscapes. That's precisely what's happening in the spirit realm right now. The individual currents of obedience are joining together into a mighty movement that will shift the course of history. You've been hidden long enough. The time of isolation is coming to an end. The age of alignment has arrived. The remnant is rising, not with noise and fanfare, but with clarity and precision. Not to destroy, but to rebuild and restore. And you are among them. Before you leave this moment, truly feel the truth of this connection in your heart. You are part of something eternal, something designed and set into motion long before you were even born. Let heaven witness your agreement and commitment. Comment 777. Not as a meaningless ritual, but as a profound revelation. 7 is the number of completion, and 3 sevens declare divine perfection. Spirit, soul, and purpose aligned in perfect harmony. When you type it, you are declaring, "The work in me is complete. I am ready to rise with the remnant." And as those numbers appear on the screen, remember this. You are not typing for visibility or to gain attention. You are responding to your destiny. The alignment has begun, and heaven is marking those who say yes to their calling. Each 777 becomes a spark in the spiritual sky, linking your light to countless others across the world. An unseen constellation declaring, "We are ready. We are one. We rise together." The closer you draw to your destiny, the narrower the road becomes. The crowd that once surrounded you begins to thin, not because you've failed or made mistakes, but because not everyone can follow you where you're going. The next phase of your journey isn't primarily about outward movement and activity. It's about inward consecration. Heaven is calling you not only to purpose but also to purity. This is the call to holiness. It's not a rigid list of rules and restrictions designed to stifle your joy. It's a posture of the heart that says, "I want nothing to stand between God and me." You've learned by now that power without purity inevitably collapses and influence without integrity corrodes and destroys. Holiness is not the end of joy and fulfillment. It's the very beginning of clarity and purpose. There comes a moment when a chosen one realizes that not everything that is permissible is necessarily beneficial. Some things may not be inherently evil, but they are no longer aligned with your higher calling. You begin to sense heaven gently pruning distractions, trimming away unhelpful habits, and closing doors that lead nowhere. It can initially feel like a significant loss, but it's actually intentional preparation for what's to come. The lighter you travel, the higher you will rise. As recorded in the book of Joshua, chapter 3, verse 5. Consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do amazing things among you. This verse isn't merely a suggestion. It's a spiritual law that operates consistently. Before every elevation, there must be purification. God doesn't anoint vessels that are still full of yesterday's dust and debris. He cleans them thoroughly, empties them completely, and sanctifies them so that when glory pours out, it flows without contamination. You, right now, are in that cleansing season. Every conviction you feel, every gentle nudge to let something go, is not condemnation or punishment. It's an invitation to a deeper level of freedom and purpose. There was once a woman who fervently prayed, "God, use me mightily," and heaven answered, not with immediate opportunities and grand platforms, but with intentional refinement. One by one, things she deeply loved began to shift and change. Friendships altered. Unhealthy habits broke. Her carefully laid plans were seemingly misguided. At first, she felt as though she was losing herself and her identity. But then she realized she was actually being purified, prepared for something greater. When the day finally arrived for her to step fully into her purpose, her heart was weightless, her vision was sharp, and her spirit was clear and unburdened. That's what holiness does. It removes the fog of confusion. It restores clear hearing. It provides strength that doesn't depend on fleeting adrenaline or superficial applause. Holiness is not perfection. It's alignment. It's saying, "I would rather be clean and pure than be seen and admired." The world may call this kind of unwavering purity old-fashioned and outdated, but heaven calls it rare and radiant. You can feel the profound difference even now. Peace settles deeper within you when your choices align with your convictions. Sin always promises freedom and liberation, but it consistently delivers chains and bondage. Obedience may feel restrictive at first, but it opens doors that rebellion can't even see or comprehend. In your journey, holiness will not isolate you and make you a pariah. It will define you and set you apart. People will notice the difference in you. Some will be drawn to your integrity and authenticity. Others will be challenged and convicted by it. Don't shrink back or compromise to make them feel more comfortable. Purity is power, and real power never apologizes for shining brightly. It's relatively easy to stand out because of your talent and natural abilities. It's far more challenging to stand out because of your character. Yet character outlasts charisma every single time. The ones heaven uses in the final hour are not those who shout the loudest or demand the most attention, but those whose hearts remain untainted and true. Holiness is what gives authority its enduring strength and lasting impact. There's another crucial truth hidden here. Holiness protects the anointing. Oil and impurity simply cannot mix. The presence of God dwells most powerfully where compromise has been completely surrendered. You'll notice that when you walk in holiness, your discernment sharpens, your prayers carry more weight and authority, and your peace becomes unshakable. That's not a mere coincidence. It's the reward of alignment with the divine. Think of your life as a cup of clear water placed beneath the radiant sunlight. Every speck of dust, every ripple on the surface, distorts the reflection. But when stillness comes, the water becomes a perfect mirror, reflecting the sunlight with absolute clarity. That's holiness, reflecting heaven without distortion. You were designed to mirror God's heart to a distracted and broken world. This path will undoubtedly cost you something. You'll have to let go of certain comforts, certain conversations, and certain compromises. But in exchange, you'll gain something far more valuable: clarity, authority, and lasting joy. The holiness God calls you to is not about restriction and deprivation. It's about restoration and renewal. It's heaven's way of returning you to your original design and intention. So don't fear this narrowing path. It's not punishment. It's purification. Every boundary you honor builds a fortress around your peace, protecting you from unnecessary chaos and stress. Every temptation you overcome sharpens your crown, making you more fit for your divine assignment. The holy road may sometimes feel lonely, but it's never truly empty. Angels travel it too. Stay close to the whisper of the Holy Spirit. Let your steps be deliberate and your heart uncluttered. For when the next door opens, you'll step through it, not carrying the residue of past mistakes, but radiating the light of heaven. Holiness is the fragrance of heaven that lingers on those who walk closely with God. It's often invisible to the naked eye, but it's unmistakable to the soul. Keep walking this refined path. Every step you take in purity polishes your crown, making it shine even brighter. Every quiet yes you speak to God echoes louder than any earthly applause could ever reach. There comes a moment when silence transforms into boldness, when what has been growing quietly inside of you for so long can no longer stay hidden. The season of being shaped in secret gives way to the season of speaking in strength. You no longer whisper truth timidly. You declare it with unwavering conviction. This is not arrogance or pride. It's awakening to your true potential and calling. The same voice that once trembled with doubt and insecurity now carries the weight and authority of heaven. You've spent years learning restraint, wisdom, and discernment. Now, those invaluable lessons turn into fuel for prophetic courage. Heaven does not raise passive messengers who simply parrot what others say. When God breathes on someone, their words begin to shake what others have chosen to ignore. You can feel that fire rising inside of you, righteous, unyielding, and vibrantly alive. The word of God proclaims in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 20, verse 9, "But if I say, I will not mention his word or speak any more in his name. His word is in my heart like a fire shut up in my bones." That verse perfectly describes your current state. The fire inside can no longer be contained or suppressed. Every time you witness injustice, your spirit stirs with righteous indignation. Every time truth is silenced, something deep within you refuses to stay quiet and complacent. You are learning that prophecy is not always about predicting the future. It is about declaring what heaven is saying, even when earth vehemently disagrees. There was once a man who tried desperately to run from his calling because he feared rejection and ridicule. Each time he stayed silent, he felt his chest tighten, as if the truth inside him was burning for release. One night in prayer, he whispered, "If I speak, they'll turn on me and reject me." And the Spirit answered, "If you stay silent, they'll never turn toward me." From that day forward, he chose courage over comfort and obedience over personal preference. That same pivotal decision now stands before you. Prophetic boldness is not about raising your voice and dominating the conversation. It's about unwavering conviction and standing firm in your beliefs. The true prophets of this era won't just speak from pulpits and platforms. They'll speak through their art, through their compassion, and through their courage that refuses to conform to the status quo. Some will use words to convey their message, while others will use their actions. But all will carry the same flame of truth, the truth of heaven that sets captives free. Your voice has a purpose. It was crafted for profound impact. The enemy has tried relentlessly to silence it through fear, insecurity, and the threat of rejection. But every attempt to silence you has only made your tone more refined and your message more potent. What once felt like a source of weakness has now been weaponized into wisdom when you speak. It's not just you speaking. It's heaven echoing through you. The world around you is desperately hungry for voices that don't bend with the shifting winds of culture, but bow to the unchanging truth. You will find yourself in situations where silence feels safer and more comfortable. Yet, something deep inside you will urge you to speak up and speak out. In those critical moments, remember that your obedience is not measured by the outcome or the reaction, but by your courage to step out in faith. Sometimes, your sole assignment is simply to stand your ground and say what others are unwilling to say. There will inevitably be opposition. Yes, the light you carry will confront the shadows that thrive in confusion and darkness. But truth is not fragile and easily broken. It's eternal and unyielding. Every word spoken in obedience becomes a seed planted in time. Some will sprout immediately, while others may take decades to fully mature. Don't measure success by immediate reaction. Measure it by your unwavering obedience to your calling. Boldness will not always look dramatic and attention-grabbing. Sometimes it's simply choosing integrity when compromise would be much easier. Sometimes it's standing for righteousness when silence would be rewarded and praised. Prophetic courage is steady and unwavering, not reckless and impulsive. It listens intently first, then speaks only what carries heaven's unmistakable fingerprint. You'll notice this fire changing you from the inside out. The more you speak truth, the more you crave holiness. The more you obey, the more peace expands within you, creating a sanctuary of tranquility. And soon, you'll realize that boldness and humility are not opposites. They are partners, working in perfect harmony. One gives you the strength to speak with conviction, while the other ensures that your voice remains pure and untainted. The world desperately needs this version of you, the one who is no longer afraid of being misunderstood or criticized. You were not chosen to echo the voices of others. You were chosen to awaken the hearts of those who are trapped in fear, shame, and confusion. Heaven didn't give you this powerful voice to entertain and amuse. It gave it to you to enlighten and liberate. Remember, boldness without love becomes mere noise and arrogance. But truth spoken with compassion becomes transformation and healing. Speak with both fire and tenderness. The goal is not to prove yourself right, but to guide others toward the light of truth. The same God who once whispered to you in the darkness now sends you to speak in the daylight. Your voice carries restoration, not rebellion. Carries healing, not hatred. It carries the very sound of heaven, reminding the earth that mercy still speaks. So, let the fire burn brightly within you. Don't fear its heat. It's the unmistakable sign that you're vibrantly alive in your purpose. The world is eagerly waiting for your words, not because they are perfect and flawless, but because they are pure and authentic. Each word you release becomes a spark, lighting the path for those who are still lost in the shadows. Speak with grace. Burn with truth. Your voice is the flame that guides the weary home. The air feels different now. You can sense the tension between light and darkness growing stronger, as if the unseen realms are preparing for a final confrontation. This is not mere imagination or wishful thinking. This is divine alignment. The world is standing at a critical spiritual crossroads, and those who carry the light are being summoned to the front lines. The battle you once fought quietly within yourself is now manifesting all around you in the external world. You were born for this very hour. The same courage that helped you survive is now the courage that will help others stand firm. You carry something that cannot be intimidated or silenced. Holy fire wrapped in grace. You've learned that darkness doesn't fear religion or empty rituals. It fears revelation, and revelation lives within you. The sacred text declares in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 10, verse 4, in words of power, "The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. They have divine power to demolish strongholds." Every prayer you've whispered, every act of kindness you've extended, every moment you've chosen faith over fear, these have become your weapons in this spiritual battle. The war you're engaged in is not fought with fists or fury, but with purity, peace, and unwavering persistence. You are not called to destroy people. You are called to dismantle the darkness that holds them captive. There was once a young believer who deeply doubted her own strength and abilities. She felt too small and insignificant to make any real difference in the world. But one night, she dreamed of a single lantern placed on a vast battlefield. Though armies surrounded her, the light of the lantern never dimmed or flickered. The next morning, she understood that victory isn't about numbers or outward appearances. It's about presence and unwavering commitment. Light doesn't argue with darkness. It simply shines until the shadows disappear. That image belongs to you now. You are that lantern. Every step you take leaves traces of radiant light behind. Even when you feel unnoticed or unappreciated, heaven watches the way you faithfully hold your flame. The smallest light can guide 1,000 souls when it steadfastly refuses to go out. But make no mistake, the confrontation will test you and push you to your limits. Truth will inevitably meet deception. Love will stand in stark contrast against hatred. Faith will battle despair. You will face voices that mock and belittle what you carry. But remember, courage doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means choosing to advance in spite of your fear. The power within you was never meant to be hidden away. It was meant to ignite and inspire. You'll start to notice how your presence unsettles spiritual climates. People might resist you not necessarily because you're wrong, but because your light exposes what's been hidden for far too long. Don't let that discourage you or cause you to shrink back. The resistance confirms your relevance and significance when you carry the kingdom within you. Conflict is often proof of progress. The world may look chaotic and out of control, but heaven's strategic plan is unfolding perfectly according to its divine timeline. Revival doesn't always begin with a massive crowd or a grand spectacle. It begins with one obedient heart willing to step out in faith. That's how movements start. One person burns brightly enough that others remember they possess a flame within them. 2. And here's a crucial truth. Few truly understand the power of your voice online. Your seemingly small posts, your quiet words of encouragement, and your simple prayers. All of it carries far more power than you realize. In a world flooded with noise and superficiality, authenticity is like thunder, shaking the very foundations of deception. When your words come directly from the Spirit, they travel further and penetrate deeper than any algorithm could ever measure. Think of every act of faith as planting seeds of light across a vast digital field. You may never see all the trees that grow from those seeds, but generations will rest beneath their shade and benefit from their nourishment. And that is the profound miracle of simple obedience. You shine, and heaven multiplies it exponentially. Now, pause for a moment and feel the warmth in your spirit, that same warmth that has carried you through every dark valley you've encountered. You've been lit for this precise moment in time, to illuminate others and to awaken what's divine within them. You're not just a single flame. You're part of an unending wildfire of grace. And in this sacred exchange between the message and the listener, there's an invitation, not of duty or obligation, but of heartfelt devotion, to like, to share, and to subscribe. And to comment is not about vanity metrics or boosting numbers. It's about creating an echo, amplifying the message of hope and truth. It's like striking flint against stone, sending sparks flying across the world. Each action becomes an ember, another pulse of light that lands exactly where it's needed most. When you choose to pass it forward, you're not simply helping an account or boosting its visibility. You're helping heaven's current reach further and touch more lives. Somewhere, a weary soul will stumble upon this message because you decided to release your spark of light into the world. You might never meet them face to face, but your light will reach them and offer them hope and encouragement. So, if this flame burns brightly within you, don't cage it or suppress it. Let it travel freely. Let it breathe and expand. Let it find those who've forgotten that light still wins, even in the darkest of times. Because that's what sharing truth really is. It's not self-promotion. It's participation in something far greater than yourself. And as your flame joins with countless others, the horizon begins to glow brighter and brighter. The great confrontation between darkness and dawn is already turning in favor of the light. The light is winning, and you are a vital part of that victory. There comes a time when you stop waiting for permission to shine. You stop seeking validation from people who were never assigned to understand you or appreciate your unique gifts. You realize that the very things you once thought disqualified you were actually qualifications written in heaven's language, preparing you for your destiny. Every scar, every loss, every mistake, they have all been repurposed into the very foundation of your future. Your authority isn't something you need to question anymore. You're not hiding from your past. Instead, you're carrying it as a badge of honor, a testament to the grace you've received. This is your crowning moment. It's not heralded by applause or grand ceremonies, but it arrives in the quietest of times, when heaven whispers, "You have persevered. Now rise up." You might not even realize it at first. You'll simply wake up one morning feeling lighter, as if the weight that strengthened you has finally transformed into the very strength that sustains you. You have been crowned for glory, not the kind that craves the spotlight, but the kind that emanates from a place of deep peace. Glory isn't about wearing gold on your head. It's about having light in your soul. It's that quiet confidence that blossoms from knowing you've been faithful even when no one was watching. The reward for your endurance isn't fame. It's freedom. As the scripture reveals in 1 Peter 5 verse 4, "And when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the crown of glory that will never fade away." This is your inheritance, a crown not crafted by human hands, but forged through endurance, humility, and obedience. The path to get here wasn't easy. You traversed deserts that broke others, yet you kept going. You carried burdens that would have crushed weaker souls, yet you refused to let bitterness take hold. Every trial has shaped your crown, every tear has polished it, and every act of obedience has added another jewel to its intricate design. There was once a man who spent years in silence after a period of intense failure. He believed his calling had come to an end. But one day, as he was walking through a marketplace, he saw a craftsman meticulously shaping a crown. The artisan murmured to himself, "The beauty of the crown hinges on how long the metal withstands the hammer." In that instant, the man understood. His silence hadn't been a punishment, but a forging process. And so has yours. You might not be able to see your crown, but the spirit world does. Angels recognize the authority it embodies, and darkness respects the resilience it took to earn it. You've been tempered by trials, refined by pain, and matured through waiting. Now, when you speak, heaven listens with a different kind of attentiveness. Your prayers carry the weight of someone who has walked through fire and remained faithful. The crown doesn't signify the end of your struggles. It signifies mastery over them. You're not immune to storms. You've simply learned how to anchor yourself within them. The authority of someone who's been crowned isn't about avoiding the wind, but about standing firm in it without letting your flame be extinguished. You are living proof that faith doesn't eliminate suffering. It redeems it. You'll start to notice subtle shifts within yourself. You'll no longer react to every little thing that once disrupted your peace. People will sense your calm and seek your guidance. They might not see the invisible crown, but they'll feel its presence. They'll recognize the stability that only comes from true surrender. You've become a vessel of quiet majesty, the kind that doesn't need to shout to command attention. But remember this crucial truth. Crowns aren't trophies to be displayed. They're mantles to be stewarded. Every gift you've been given is meant to be used in service to others. Glory that isn't shared becomes a burden. So wear your crown lightly, knowing it's not about you, but about the light shining through you. Think of yourself as a mountain peak. The climb was steep, the air was thin, but the view reveals why the pain was necessary. From this vantage point, you see how every valley worked together to shape you. You understand now that your strength wasn't meant to isolate you. It was meant to inspire others to climb. You'll encounter people still on their ascent, weary, fearful, and doubting their own worth. When you see them, you'll recognize fragments of your old self in their eyes. Don't just tell them they'll make it, walk alongside them. That's the true purpose of a crown. Not to rule, but to lift. Glory doesn't rest on the proud. It rests on the surrendered. The moment you try to hoard it for yourself, it will vanish. But because you've cultivated humility, it remains. You've learned to lead without controlling, to shine without competing, to speak without overshadowing. That's divine royalty, gentle authority. As you stand in this new light, remember that every crown heaven bestows must reflect the heart of its king. And that king wore a crown of thorns before he wore one of gold. You, too, will carry both the pain that birthed empathy and the glory that carries peace. So lift your head, not in arrogance, but in awareness. You are walking proof of redemption's power, a living testament that glory belongs to those who endure with grace. Your crown doesn't elevate you, it completes you. And now the calling becomes clear. The final chapter, the moment when everything you've endured begins to align. You've survived the wilderness, endured the fire, carried the weight, and worn the crown. But this journey was never solely about you. Every trial, every awakening, every whisper from heaven has been shaping a leader for the generation that follows. You're not just chosen to rise, you're chosen to lead. Leadership in divine timing doesn't look like control. It looks like guidance. It doesn't shout. It shepherds. You are being commissioned not to dominate the lost, but to guide the willing, to be a voice of calm in a world drowning in confusion. You've learned that authority isn't measured by how many follow you, but by how faithfully you follow God. This is the final commission. Heaven now entrusts you with the mantle of influence, not for applause but for impact. The oil that once anointed you in secret is now flowing publicly, not for prestige, but for purpose. You've moved from learning to leading, from receiving revelation to releasing it. The world will soon recognize what heaven has already affirmed. You are a torchbearer for the end times, as declared in Matthew 5 verse 14. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. You are that city, every wall built from endurance, every window carved from wisdom, every light shining from the lessons you've lived. Your very existence has become a message that darkness can press but never prevail. There was once a traveler who climbed to the summit of a mountain carrying a single lantern. When he reached the top, he saw valleys below, still enveloped in fog. For a moment he hesitated. His light seemed too small to make a difference. But then, the wind shifted, and the glow from his lantern reflected off the clouds, scattering beams across the valleys below. Others saw the light and began to climb. That is the essence of your calling. You were never meant to shine alone. You were meant to spark ascent in others. Leadership will demand new levels of humility. You will be tempted to measure success by visibility once again. But you know better now. The true test of leadership is faithfulness when no one is applauding, consistency when no one is noticing. The greatest leaders walk unseen paths with unwavering conviction. They don't need validation because they carry revelation. As the end-time generation awakens, chaos will intensify, but so will clarity. The shaking of the world isn't punishment. It's positioning. Systems will crumble so that sincerity can rise. The false will fade, and the genuine will glow. And those who carry heaven's fire will lead the way home. That's why your preparation was so intense. Because your mission requires a resilience that others haven't yet developed. You will feel the tension of the times, the pull between love and truth, grace and judgment. The mature leader understands that these are not enemies. They are companions. Truth without love hardens the heart, and love without truth weakens the spine. You must walk with both, a sword in one hand and healing in the other. In this season, God will entrust you with influence that feels weighty. People will come with questions, pain, and spiritual hunger. Don't rush to answer. Listen first. The leader heaven raises is one who listens twice before speaking once. When you do speak, let your words flow from stillness, not from impulse. Stillness is your weapon, and peace is your presence. You've been chosen not to create followers, but to awaken other leaders. Your task is not to build a kingdom for yourself, but to build bridges for others. You will see a generation rise that refuses to chase titles, one that walks in truth, unity, and conviction. You are meant to help them see that holiness still holds power, that obedience still brings miracles, and that love still triumphs. Think of this as the final breath before dawn. The world is trembling on the precipice of great change. Prophecy is unfolding, not in distant lands, but in ordinary hearts like yours. The remnant you once longed to find is now rising beside you. You are no longer the one being called, you are the one calling others. When the story of this age is told, your name might not appear in its headlines, but your obedience will resonate through eternity. Because history never remembers all the faces. It remembers the flames that lit the way. You are one of those flames. The commission is simple yet eternal. Lead with love, walk in truth, and shine without fear. Heaven has written your story in fire. And now, the final line reads, "And the chosen ones rose, carrying light into the end of days." Here you stand, at the edge of completion, yet at the beginning of something far greater. The story we've journeyed through together was never just words. It was an awakening. Each section, each whisper, each spark was heaven reaching through time to remind you who you truly are. You've seen how purpose blossoms from pain, how faith is refined in fire, and how silence births strength. You've walked through every chapter and found that destiny isn't waiting somewhere ahead. It's already alive within you. You are not merely a listener to this message. You are part of its unfolding. Every time you chose to keep reading, something in the spirit recognized your readiness. Now, as the narrative closes, the light remains. This isn't an ending. It's a release. What began as words on a screen has become a living flame in your heart. You are the continuation of this message. Every act of kindness, every courageous decision, every whisper of truth you carry forward is another paragraph written in heaven's story. And here, at this quiet yet sacred moment, you have a choice. You can keep the light within you, or you can let it travel. To like, to share, to subscribe, and to comment isn't about self-promotion. It's about granting permission. It's saying, let this message breathe beyond me. Let it find the next weary heart that needs it. Each action becomes a ripple, a gentle pulse of light moving outward, reaching someone who's still searching for a sign that hope is real. You may never know their name, but heaven will. So, if this journey has stirred something deep within you, let your simple response carry it forward. Push the light outward beyond the flame because the world still needs to hear what you now know. Light always finds a way through the darkness.